Amy.
I'm scared enough, Riley.
I had about 5 seconds, obviously, to think about how I would start our Turtle Time episode. So I'm very, very sorry that I used the that ghoul voice. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. That was a last resort. So I'm so sorry about that, Amy.
Halloween is over and a new hell has begun.
I'm so sorry for so many things, Amy. I'm sorry for scaring you at the start of the episode like I used to do during October. It's so far from that. I should be doing the exact opposite of that. And then also, I'm kind of feel bad about making us record today. I also feel bad about, well, not that I made you, but that we scheduled this. Also, that we have to talk about RHONY again. There's just a lot of stuff that, yeah, I feel bad about. But here we are. And I think it's, no matter what happens, this is an episode of Turtle Time for sure. Don't you think?
You will have to say it. It will be in the podcast app as such.
Yes.
Um,
It'll have a time, it'll be a certain amount of time. It'll be numbered in order
we will
coming
be
after.
talking.
I'll ask a question to you. I already asked this, but I'm going to ask you on mic so you can say whatever you want. But how are you feeling today?
I'm okay. As we've previously established, I am usually dead inside most of the time, so that comes in handy for times like this. I will say, watching RHONY at like 10 p.m. Pacific, amongst everything else, was one of the darker moments.
Yeah. Is it because juxtaposed with what was going on, then you also had to start thinking about what they were talking about and doing on the new episode of RHONY, and it sort of made things worse?
I can't tell if it was my state of mind or if the show is literally getting worse every week.
It 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 is. It is getting worse for sure. This was almost like well, we're getting right into it, but I'll ask you more questions. But this is just my overall thoughts. It's like they're like starting from scratch again within this season. Like
Uh-huh.
they're already doing the thing where they're like separating out into the world and no longer having group events because they need time to like make new stuff happen. So this felt like even more boring than usual.
Yeah.
And they had to like regroup or whatever. So I totally understand exactly where you're coming from. This was we already talked shit about last week's episode. This one was just par for the course in terms of how bad RHONY has gotten.
Yeah, there were two separate manicure scenes. Um, but yeah, it's no good. But how are you guys in your household?
Yeah, we're okay. It was obviously for me it was more shocking, I think, than you because you said that you were possibly expecting the worst, but I sort of was like we a little bit we broached this, but I was like Seltzer, what's her name, Ann Seltzer
Uh-huh.
poll, and like just the polls and stuff. Like I really expected a little more of a nail biter, so
Uh-huh.
I was shocked. I think
Yeah.
yeah, I was overall just shocked completely by what I was witnessing.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna happen last night. I
Yeah,
did not think that.
yeah. I don't. You said you're dead inside, and I don't. I never. You've never said that to me before, and I don't view you. When I look at you, I see you filled with life. Your eyes, and when I look at
I
you,
do have a pulse.
I don't know, but I think you're absolutely filled with exuberant life. So I've never heard you characterize yourself like that before.
Oh, okay. I think it's a combination of being, if you're into this sort of thing, which I'm not really, but a Capricorn, which you are, which I think we're different kinds.
Oh no,
Well, we're separated by only a few days, but you were different.
I'm a Sagittarius,
Yeah.
so I'm filled with
So
exuberant life.
yeah,
And then, unfortunately, 4 days later, it's
a
dead
steep
inside.
drop off. Yep.
Yeah, because you're getting into the thick of winter, right? I still have sort of. I have like the. Well, no, you're more Christmas than me, but I was saying I've got that early snow is just hitting the ground. Santa is just packing up his presents. Like I have that early wistful Christmas or early winter energy, and you might have
Yeah.
the dregs of winter.
Yeah. It's like both Capricorn and like avoidant attachment style, and also just I don't know, being jaded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Triple threat.
I'm less jaded. What's avoidant attachment syndrome? Sorry to ask you that. Amy took a drink of water, and it made her.
You don't know about attachment styles?
Oh no, I only know
No.
love languages. Remember I love to receive words of affirmation. I don't know about attachment styles.
There's avoidant, there's anxious, and there's what's the regular one? Just like secure.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
like you're either like it's like you're either like chasing the relationship, like you're nervous about the other
Oh,
person like leaving, or you're the one pushing away, or you're like healthy and in the middle.
damn! You're the pushing away one.
Yes.
I'm the anxious one. Um,
It's always a yin and a yang.
but who's these? Who are the secure ones?
Who are these people?
Wow, if you're a secure attachment person, let us know. You have well defined what's that called? Relationships with people? Is that
Yeah, your parents did good.
That's awesome. I have the one where I'm desperately hoping that everything is good with the people in my life. And avoidant is pushing people away?
Yeah.
Wow. You've never come close to pushing me away. Is it just because we have a podcast?
But we keep it professional, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yes, look at us. Look at what we're doing. This is professional. I totally understand what you were saying about RHONY earlier, just to really segue us in, unless there was anything else you have to say. Is there any, we I will say Amy and I looked up news. I went to Bravo page 6. There's like I was like TMZ. I looked up news. All I could find on TMZ was that Reba McEntire said redheads let's unite today or something. And did you see that? And it was on election day, and people were like, Reba, we don't care about your hair color now. This is the wrong time. It's election day. That was the only TMZ article I found. So I really tried to find news, but I think that probably the election kind of made everybody think that that was maybe the main news to talk about for the last couple of
Yeah.
days.
No, I saw, as always, Bethany did a quick response, but it was nothing major to report. It's all the stuff she always says that people aren't allowed to give their opinion anymore, that, there's no common ground, everything's divisive. It wasn't that helpful of a sentiment.
Yeah.
She also was
Okay.
like anti-celebrity, which, yeah, sure. Like celebrity endorsements don't help anyone and no one cares is what she was saying.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
don't
think
know if
that's
it's
officially true.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I don't know how controversial that is, but I would say there were some heavy hitters, for Kamala, and
Yeah.
it didn't seem because if you looked at I don't want to get too political, but Trump he had Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock, I think, and Brett Favre, but it's like. Yeah, I guess people sometimes they don't. They don't think about those celebrity endorsements too much. So Bethany had that to say.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You also
I
said
haven't
you.
checked back in.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm sure she's doing good. I think she's definitely doing good. You also sent me that thing that she said. I don't know if this is that interesting, but you said that on the Martha Stewart documentary, you sent me this thing, and she said, "Why the hell didn't they include Martha Stewart's iconic run when I was on The Apprentice with her? Was she The Apprentice, the head of it?"
Martha was, and Bethany came in like second place, I think. Um, and the documentary, which we talk about on Patreon, that comes out on Monday, uh, it talks about she does after she gets out of jail, she does a deal with Mark Burnett, who produces The Apprentice, and she had a talk show as well, like around the same time. And they cover the talk show and how it wasn't really her vibe and how she kind of like lost the sauce of what made her like such an eagle eye for what people wanted. Like she kind of got like Jimmy Fallonized and like was doing like dumb shit just because that's what they wanted her to do, like riding on a unicycle or whatever. Like
She
it's like
did that? Oh my
that was
god.
just an example, but
Yeah. Oh.
but anyways, yeah, I don't think they even mentioned The Apprentice, but that was part of the Mark Burnett deal. And Bethany is like completely like agog that they wouldn't cover that completely on this It's like not even, the movie's not even 2 hours. And it covers like her entire life. And I'm like, yeah, I think they decided it wasn't that interesting. And she's like,
Right.
it was a massive deal. Like there must have been a reason. Like he must have barred them from talking about it. Like she was like going into like conspiracy theories about why they wouldn't talk about it. And all the comments were like, that was just one thing in her very long life of like 80 years. Like she's done a million things. She's written like 100 books. She's had multiple shows. She went to jail. She's like done so much stuff. And they were like, it was important to you, but it wasn't important to her. And she was replying to comments saying, it was a big deal. Trust me.
Whoa! Wow! Wow! I wonder what. I mean, it was a big deal, I'm sure, for Bethenny. But yeah, you're right. Maybe in the grand scheme of Martha's life, she didn't truly care
Give a
that much.
shit.
And it gives it. And also, you said 2 hours long. If this was an 8-part series, I'm sure there'd be a full episode dedicated to. Was she on The Apprentice? Was it? I don't want to get political, but was it? I get political
It was like a
twice. Was it?
spin-off.
Oh, okay.
It was like a different version where Martha hosted instead of Trump.
What was it
And
called? Well, I'll look it
I
up.
think it was still just called The Apprentice, or like Martha
Oh,
Stewart's The Apprentice or something like that.
Martha Stewart.
I didn't watch it at the time, but I then got a clip of Martha on Bethany's talk show, and Bethany is like, I feel like you didn't like me when I was on the show. And Martha was like, you weren't very likable. You were a pest.
Wow! Oh my God! I just saw it. You were exactly right. It's The Apprentice slash or not slash colon Martha Stewart, and it has a 3.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh God. Yeah, maybe that's why they wanted it forgotten. But and I don't think it did well either.
Okay.
But maybe I should find it. I wonder if it's on like Peacock or something. But anyways,
Okay.
Bethany really thinks her role in history is always tantamount.
Yeah, I'm ready. I will. We will someday get that Bethany documentary, right? Do you remember that compilation? Did we ever talk about that when Bethany showed that compilation of all the times that she's been mentioned in pop culture?
Oh, right. After
That's
the SNL thing.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Okay, well, that's all the Bethany news. It's good that she had a little bit of a take on everything. But I guess that really is it. If you would be ready to transition into talking about RHONY, which caused you a lot of distress last night.
Yeah, and by the way, it starts out with that scene that haunted me in the nail salon where Sai goes, "Oh my God, my toenail is in your hair," to the woman at the nail salon.
I didn't remember that scene. That was in the preview
It was
for.
in the trailer, and I'll never forget this because it was burned into my brain. There was a glitch on Instagram the day that I watched that, and sometimes Instagram does this fucked up glitch where it will just play a sound, like you'll pass a video and it will continue to play that same sound as you scroll past no matter what you're looking at, and that'll just be like in the background until you close out and reopen. And I was like browsing Instagram, and for like I let it continue because it was so insane. But it was my toenails in your hair for like 2 minutes. It was like my toenails in your hair, my toenails in your hair, my toenails in your hair. I was like, this is like literal hell. Like this is the worst thing I've ever heard.
For a second, did you think the Bravo editors had edited it so that she said it 50 times in the trailer, or you knew it was a glitch?
I think I have a screen recording because I think I sent it to you and was like, what the fuck is this? So I'm going to put it on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, that it did start out with that. They say there's a huge toenail in your hair, and then it shows the person that's giving the pedicure, and it's huge. It's a huge, like almost her full toenail in her hair. And then Uba says, "This is just like that scene in Dumb and Dumber." Which do you remember that scene?
Jimmy said that's a good reference.
Yeah, it was a good reference. I mean, I love any, obviously or not contemporary reference, but a great reference like that. But it is exactly like that Dumb and Dumber scene. Well, you want to talk about, why this episode? First off, just why do you think? And also, I want to say this is we asked last week. We said about RHONY, we were like, are Amy and I just like going through purgatory, making ourselves suffer, like watching this show, and we're the only people that don't enjoy it, but everybody else loves it, and we're like completely off base? And it seems like from the limited amount of replies to that prompt that no one enjoys this show, that they either listen to us talk about it or they say, I gave up after 2 episodes. I'm waiting for something to happen. And then I sent you Bravo, whenever they do like an Instagram post related to RHONY, I send it to you. There are 99% negative comments. Even the people, the Bravo influencers or the people with blue check marks who said, I can't wait to bite the Big Apple again this week, or this new reboot is fresh as hell. And those are not even there anymore. And now when you look at it, I honestly think that the one I sent you, Bravo deleted because it was almost completely negative. So anytime I'm like, I don't think we're on an island with our reaction to this show, right?
No, I straight up don't trust anyone who says that it's good. I listen to a podcast that is enjoying it, but I'm like very sus of their like, I feel like if whatever, if you like it, you like it, like that's fine. But my immediate instinct is to say, like, do you even watch Housewives? Like, historically?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, it like makes me question your background.
Do you want to, you can't say the podcast.
It's Who Weekly, and I love them, but they like really find RHONY entertaining, and they talk about, they're like, everyone hates it. Are we wrong? And I want to call in and be like, yes.
Right. Wow. So like when Erin says, I'm starting a Mescal business, they're like, iconic.
Love it. They're like, that's so crazy.
But you question whether or not this might be maybe one of their only introductions into the Bravo universe, so they're unaware of how good things could be, like the current season of Salt Lake City or the glory days of old RHONY.
They're kind of, one of them knows this history more than the other, but I don't think that they're like, I think Bravo's just like one of their many things, that they're not like true heads.
Yeah.
And then Ira Madison on Keep It, I was just telling you before this that he was tweeting last night during the bad news that he was like, tonight could have been much worse. I could have watched the new episode of RHONY. And I was like, okay, gauntlet thrown. Like, he's a RHONY head.
Yeah.
Or like a Bravo head.
Yeah. And he is declaring that the only way that last night could have been worse, 2 nights ago, would be if he had to watch RHONY, just like you said. And he's a sanctioned Bravo commentator,
bartender, and he has a new book coming out that's based off of a Nene Leakes quote. He wrote like a book of essays called I think it's called like Good and Pure Innocent Fun. Is that what Nene says? Like, we were just having pure innocent fun, or good innocent fun, or whatever. But I'm like, he's gonna want to promote that book on as the bartender or the guest. So maybe, hopefully they're not mad at him.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do believe that you are certain Bravo commentators are allowed to tell their truth. Like, Jeff Lewis can be very dismissive of different cast members and everything. I remember Danny Pellegrino was able to just say, I don't watch the new RHONY at all. Like, I'm never gonna touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. So maybe you're just, there's a level you can get to where you can still be honest about it. I wanted to ask you, now that this seems like, I mean, I don't know where RHONY can go from here after having 5 episodes that are this bad. Is the future of RHONY to grin and bear it still for Bravo and let people gather steam for it to possibly get better and become an audience favorite? Or do you think they'll have to retool after this one? Because 2 seasons is, if people didn't like it and the ratings continue to be lackluster, something has to be revamped here, right?
Yeah. Is it going down?
I don't know. I haven't. I have to look at the ratings. I mean, I can't imagine that, given the quality, that it's like getting better.
Right. I was surprised that I was hoping we were going to get a break last night, because historically, like, like the night of the debate, like Dancing with the Stars wasn't on. I mean, I guess that's because that's like ABC and they have to air it. But I feel like usually when there's like a big thing, they skip a week. And I don't know if it's because their standards for who's watching are so low, or if it's just because no one watches anything live anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. But I feel like there has to be, we know that Bravo pays attention to like polling and like fan sentiment and stuff like that. So if it's really, really bad, I don't know why they would move forward the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that, okay, so one thing is that they have this big dramatic moment coming up that they keep talking about in the
Yeah,
trailer, which I
it's
guess
already
is that,
next week.
yeah, that Raquel um, gets pregnant.
Oh, do they say it's her?
Well, I looked it up, and
Oh,
that's who it is. That's who's like walking up, and I think I pretty sure it's confirmed that she is pregnant.
oh,
Um,
like right now in
well, I
life?
looked it up. Let me verify my sources. I looked it up, and Google said that she was, but maybe I have to really check in on that. Oh my god! Oh my god! I swear, I'm blushing. I'm blushing. Google
Does this
AI.
appear?
Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. I googled Search Labs Google AI and I swear this
AI
morning
got you.
it said Raquel Chevremont is pregnant, I swear. And I go, how the hell? I go, where did this come from? And I looked up for corroborating sources and I couldn't find them. I just trusted Google. I swear I just Googled it right now. It says, no, she is not pregnant. So that's a complete false alarm. I am so
See
sorry.
the dangers of
I,
artificial intelligence.
I'm gonna. I'm like, whoa! I'm glad I immediately corrected because what the hell would have happened if I had left that just fake news in there? But okay, no. So it's still a surprise, shocking thing. So that's what this season has going for it. Right?
Yeah.
That. So
Yeah, I was always assuming it was going to be Rebecca, but who knows? I mean, that's at least something to, even if it's a total bullshit bust, at least it's like literally anything to like look forward to or be curious about.
yeah, I guess. But in my like, I just imagine that it's going to be much more lackluster and disappointing, just given everything
Oh
that
yeah.
we've seen, from this franchise so far. I'm so sorry to spread fake news. I can't believe I looked that up. Yeah, you're probably right. It makes much more sense.
We're gonna get
that it's-
another housewife in our comments. We had a Katie from OC commenting on our TikTok yesterday.
Yes, I have to. I'm going to apologize. Katie from OC, we ran a clip, and it was me saying that. I don't know what I don't know what I said. I did a horrible quote straight from her mouth that wasn't a direct quote, and she goes, "What the hell is this?"
I think it was a minor crossing of streams between what Emily said about her kids and what Katie said. Like Emily said, I never, ever, ever talk about adult things in front of my kids. And Katie said she was more likely to talk to her adult daughter or something like that. And she commented, but then she deleted it.
Yeah, she deleted it. I mean, I understand why she deleted it, but had she not, I would have probably apologized because I did. I did misquote her, but the intention of the clip was that it was a major revealing moment that her son Bandon was talking
Yeah.
at the table, saying, "Mommy, you always say Heather is so mean to you." But anyway,
I don't even know how she found our measly clip.
I know. So you think the pregnancy reveal is probably Rebecca Minkoff? That
That's
makes
what I've been assuming, but I actually don't even know quite why I've been assuming that, except that I guess they kind of show like almost everybody else talking about it.
Yes, I also thought the same thing. Okay, well, pending that being like the explosive revelation that saves this show, I don't know if it will be, but I think that probably next season, if it continues like this, they'll have to retool it with the cast.
Yeah.
Like maybe probably push a few people out and then hire new people and then maybe keep.
Oh my God,
Um,
like Luann.
Yeah, like Luann.
Luann's like social media this year has been so bomb.
Yeah, she's killing it. I saw someone that I don't even think was like a Bravo person, and they just they tweeted that photo of Luann smoking in front of a smoke-free zone.
Yeah.
And they said something completely unrelated. Went out of the Bravo
Meme.
sphere into just became a meme that anybody
Yeah.
can use.
She smoked in front of a no smoking sign and went, it said like, do not smoke here or cannot smoke here or something. And she went, not really.
She did. Oh my God. That is so cool. Luann is just out on the loose. She wants to be back on this cast so bad, possibly with Jessel and Raquel. Okay. Well, I thought the same thing. This one had, okay, so it starts out and it's like, we already think RHONY is bad, you and I, as we're
Yeah.
starting it out. And then I'm like, oh no, new businesses, I don't even want to really see any businesses for the most part. It's like it's the thing you have to suffer through on all franchises, unless the business is really like cool and fun. But when it's a brand new business, that they just started for the show, and it's this cast starting businesses, I'm like, God damn it, no. And this one was really rough. Erin and Abe created a brand new, as of last year, Mescal business. They said that they went to Tulum. They were living in a house, and they said I think they said an old man went onto their property, and he had this bottle, a clear bottle with some sort of liquor in it, and he goes, "Drink this, Abe and Erin," and they drank it, and they go, "This is what we drink here in Mexico. Tequila, the stuff that you are familiar with, is a poor man's this drink that I just offered you now." And they go, "What do you call this?" And he goes, "Mescal." And they go, this was 12 years ago, before the Mescal craze. And they said, we've got to bring this back to this country that we live in, the United States of America. It took them 12 years, but it's finally
so saturated at this point. Like, I went to Mexico like 15 years ago and had a similar experience, not quite as like magical sounding, but we're at a restaurant and the owner was chill and he like poured us mezcal shots, and I was like 22 or something, so I was like, wow, this is like a little bit different, a little like, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, mezcal is like on every menu imaginable.
Yeah, it seemed like they missed the Mezcal early adopter bubble by about 5 years, I would say. And also, you have to question this sort of origin story when it's like, well, you didn't immediately think that this was the idea you wanted to run with. It just happened to coincide with your being on this show. Did you think, I was like, at least though the brand name is sort of, has a little hint of ingenuity.
Mezcalum.
Yeah, it was. It's Mescal and then Tulum, I assume, from where they first discovered or where they originated their mezcal love from.
Tulum is like the ultimate, like, has been taken over by like white bitches. Like, it's probably considered locally to have been like destroyed.
Yeah. Well, I've never been, so I kind of took that authentic story. Yeah, good. They said that guy, after he showed them that bottle, he disappeared. And so they have this thing, and they go, they say, so obviously we're gonna throw a huge party for this new business that we have. And I was like,
giving
shit.
Bravo 10%.
Yes, absolutely. Bravo gets 10%. Anything else to say? I just was like, this is not what this franchise needs now. No. This is not the time for a new business, especially one, no offense, but like from a cast member that is not providing a lot of fun and enjoyment by themselves. You know what I mean? You're introducing a new product at probably the worst time for us as viewers.
As a couple, they're not entertaining to watch. I was like, I don't want to watch another scene with them unless it's about crypto.
Yeah. I was going to say, I forgot. I went to Cancun one time, and I went on a tequila making trip. It was just before the mezcal bubble, but they let me do the thing where I got to squeeze a bunch of stuff and make my own tequila. So I just wanted to say that I also brought that.
Bethenny's tequila trip.
It was exactly like that. So then there's kind of, everyone is just thinking about, what they're going to do on the trip, or what they're going to do when they get to this mezcal party. And I will say, unless there's anything you want to highlight, but I do like the Raquel stuff that is popping up. I thought her scene with Uba last week was pretty good. She's got a great backstory, and then she reveals even more layers of her backstory here, I think, to Sai and Uba. And she said that she had this full like art world scandal that rocked New York City. Did you enjoy this revelation?
Yeah, they had me Googling because I was like, I assumed she didn't want them to do like a photo insert or something, because I was like, come on, show us this person, show us the art. And so I had to just Google stuff myself, which I guess I didn't realize when she told her story originally. I like misconstrued that. I thought that her current fiance was her first female
Hmm.
partner. So when I like Googled them or whatever, I was like, oh, she dated a woman before. And then there was like the scandal between her leaving that person to Mel. So that was interesting. And yeah, like looking it up, I'm like, there was so many like articles. Like it was a real like New Yorky, like cool, like they were in like page 6 about it. Like it was like, she said that the portrait of her is like in the hanging at the
Yeah,
Whitney.
I looked
Like I
that
was
one
like,
up
this
too.
is like juicy.
And yeah, and they had a coffee table book or a
Mhm.
monograph, I guess is the cooler name for
Yeah.
that. And it has Raquel's face on it. So they had to keep up the illusion that they were still in a relationship because the art world needed to know a lot of the popularity and uh acclaim for their art was based off this is like a couple that is creating this stuff together. And then so people thought that Mel had come in and ruined their relationship because I think Micheline Thomas is the artist's name.
Uh-huh.
They thought that Mel had just come in and ruined this relationship, and everyone chose to be on Micheline Thomas's side over Raquel's. So that's a huge, big deal in her past that we got to learn about.
Yeah, and I'm like the reason that that came up was because like it was in Us Weekly apparently that Jenna was saying that, like yeah, like I have a ring on my finger, like it's an engagement ring or whatever it was. And then that made her talk about that and I'm like, how is like Jenna Lyons the like shining star of this show and like technically should be like the most famous person and like the most interesting person and like none of her shit is like on the table and they just have to like swoop in like a new cooler lesbian that's willing to like spill the tea about her internal drama.
Because that's a great question, a perfect question that everyone is asking themselves as they watch RHONY. I think it's because they think that Jenna Lyons' power as a fan favorite, whatever that means on a show like RHONY, warrants them giving her allowances to not show her relationship or anything that she wants not revealed on this show. And as a person who has no familiarity with Jenna Lyons outside of RHONY, I do not understand. I don't see the trade off here to where Jenna Lyons is sparking so much joy for you that you're able to think about the things that she's omitting or not
Right.
count the things that she's omitting. So I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, because you would think like if you're signing someone like her, like think of her as like an athlete or something, like what's her value, like bringing to the table or whatever. And it's like the thing that you would want is access to like her wedding, her like cool like a party she would have and then like cool people would come over
Mm-hmm.
to her apartment like I rewatching Rachel Zoe a few months ago she got them access to like crazy shit like they were backstage at like Paris Fashion Week with Karl Lagerfeld like there were people where you're like whoa like they like her so much that they're willing to participate on this dumbass show and I'm
Yeah.
like that's why you make a show with someone like that because she's like okay like Marc Jacobs is coming over like we're really good friends like that's what you watch it for and she's not giving us like anything like that.
I think Jenna Lyons thinks that Bravo shows are like beneath her and her actual like career in the
Yeah.
industry, and that no one that she associates with would want to be on the show with her. Like how
Yeah.
Randall used to denigrate Bravo shows when he was with Lala because he said, "I'm too good for anything like that."
Right. Yeah. The watching Rachel Zoe again, I guess because it was like her show, so it felt like what's good for her is good for the show and vice versa. But I appreciated watching it that she just forced people to like she would have fittings at her house and there would be like celebrities that would come over and you would like watch their fitting. But then of course when there was someone really famous, it wouldn't be on camera.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like don't fucking take the job then. It's like annoying. Or don't give her the job.
Yeah, it's more don't give her because
Yeah.
if Jenna Lyons is like I can keep my relationship completely private and you still want me and you're paying me well, then of course I'm going to do that. So it's more of in Bravo, I'm sure feels like with this cast they want to give him another try, but I'm sure they're like Jenna Lyons is at least the most integral part of this cast that we're really trying to make work, even though overall we would argue that it's not working. But yeah, so Raquel is great. It's very refreshing to see a cast member that actually has a dynamic past that they're willing to share, and she's a pretty vibrant personality. And I like most of her scenes so
Yeah.
far. Speaking of things that I actually liked this episode, I think Jessel obviously is still the shining star in this cast. For me personally, her scenes with her mom was pretty good. And then also, I really do love Pavitt and Jessel's relationship. I don't know if it's because there's no good relationships on this show that I enjoy watching, but something about Pavitt and Jessel's relationship seems very real to me, and I like their dynamic. It's like a Emily and Shane dynamic where they seem, like a real couple that has arguments. They seem not so self-aware like Erin and Abe, to where they don't want to share everything. Like Jessel lets it all out and Pavitt lets it all out. They don't care about saying like, you scream at me all the time. So I really liked this. And a thing that Jessel and Pavitt showed me was that like sometimes these locations and stuff that they go to in New York City can be cool and fun. And so many of the locations and shit where they shoot look like the most bland, like modern garbage with like wood tables, all white walls, no character at all, like sleek. And then I'm like, then they go into this, I don't know what this restaurant was called. Some, New York City head can tell me, but they go into this like lair, this beautiful Chinese restaurant. And I'm like, whoa, this shit is fucking awesome looking. Like, at least if you're not going to provide anything entertaining on screen with your relationships, at least show us the character of New York City. The Pavitt scene where he took him to Carol's Buns, I was like, I'll watch them eat those dumplings on the side of the street with pigeons flying over the head and the train rocking above them. Like, that shit is actually interesting to me. This was supposed to be the promise of RHONY, is like dynamic shit like that. So
yeah, Jessel was like, what did she say? Something about like, if you want good food, take his recommendation, but if you want cool vibes, I'll take you where you need to go, or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's funny thinking about, remember how shitty the series started, period, of just like about that catch restaurant or whatever.
Of course.
And then they ended up going to like that social club instead or whatever. And it was like, even that was like, I think they thought they were being like insidery and like New York-y, but it was like, we didn't get to see anything.
Yeah, right. No, yeah. What's the, we had no idea what the hell they were talking about as non-New Yorkers. I don't know any of these places. I don't know what's interesting to go to. If they went into Catch and I got to see it, I'd be like, oh, this is one of the most like sought after places to go, or this is a piece of shit place in New York City. I'm really surprised.
I was watching one of the million Bethenny videos, as always, and she went to a restaurant that's like owned by the Catch people, I guess. And she was like, they own such and such, they own Catch. And she's like, which caught a stray on the new Real Housewives. It's a great restaurant.
Whoa. So she defended Catch's honor.
Yes.
I'm really surprised of all the callbacks they do to their shitty first season that no one remembers and no one likes. I'm very surprised that they haven't tried to reignite some Catch restaurant drama. I mean, everything else has been fodder to rehash, like the lingerie and all this stuff. They must have thought that was like really bad to not ever reference that.
Erin that tried to take them there?
I don't. Something like that.
She was like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Also, I'm terrified. There was a quick scene where Brynn says she's co-founding like a dating app, and she was like, I love working in tech. And I'm like, please God, no, save us from that storyline.
Well, I don't know how much there's going to be of it. I looked it up after because I was like, how far along in development is Riz?
That's what it's called?
Yeah, Riz. And I didn't see any semblance of
that word is like already going to be done yesterday.
I know. I mean, I never said it. Did you?
I don't think so. I feel like the Rizzler took it over.
Who's that?
That little Costco kid, the Rizzler.
I don't know. I've seen that I've heard about the Costco kid, but I haven't ever seen him. I don't know anything about him.
He took Jimmy Fallon. Oh, Norman wants his close up as always.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But he was on Jimmy Fallon the other night, and even Jimmy Fallon seemed like suicidal. He was like, "Please, has my life come to this?" That's like when
that what was that? 30 Under 30, The Next Generation or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like the Rizzler. Or I don't know if the Rizzler was on it, but there was, you know what I mean? It was all like those people from TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jimmy Fallon didn't appreciate that.
No, hated it. Okay, so yeah, but the Jessel and Pavitt dinner scene was it was interesting because it was covering like serious shit, and I couldn't tell. She was implying that he's always like this, like he's always goofing and like will not take anything seriously. To which I'm like, that's like, if he's literally always like this and he's not hamming it for the camera, then that's like a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, right. No, I don't think that this is a perfect relationship, but it's an engaging relationship to watch. But there's definitely some issues where, yeah, they can't get deeper on the conversations that they're happening. And it sounds like Pavitt, that's why it's great. Pavitt does not want to have a child. It seems like seems like he's completely burdened by the twins they have, and he doesn't think this is the step they should take. And it seems like Jessel really wants to have a daughter so badly.
Yeah.
So it's a huge issue that they're navigating in their marriage. And then she says in the same conversation, she's like, maybe we should have a therapist talk us through this because we're having trouble, communicating about this. And, it's real relationship shit. And, but,
She says, he like won't be serious. And she's like, you're acting like a leprechaun.
Yeah, I didn't know if she said leprechaun or leprechaun, but I heard leprechaun, but I think it was just possibly, I knew she meant leprechaun. And then she goes, she says, I have someone who could do our therapy for $300 to $500 an hour. And Pavitt goes, absolutely not. I've got a guy who could give us therapy for much cheaper. And she goes, where are we going to go, to Carol's Buns Bench? I like that. Wow, $300 to $500 an hour.
That's steep.
I would
NYC prices, I guess.
Yeah, I would expect. Well, I don't know if this is rude to say, but $300 an hour. I would hope that I would. Well, maybe that's asking too much. I would really hope for some growth. Each time. Maybe that's too much to ask for. But okay. So then, anything else you wanted to highlight before we get to the final set piece of this episode, the Mescal party?
No, there was just a little bit more with Raquel, like to round it out. Like she has another scene, but with Mel, and they talk about like the drama of like they go to an art show and they're like, we don't have to worry about being in public together anymore because being in art spaces used to be kind of shifty because everyone would like side eye them. And they're going to announce their engagement soon. And Mel is like, does your mom even know about that? And then they get into how like her mom is like not down and like stopped visiting and like maybe wouldn't come to the wedding. And so she keeps like, she's giving her all. Like first of all, I think she's like gorgeous and cool and like a real New York figure. So like she's a good addition. She's not particularly dramatic, but she's giving more than literally anyone else on like personal like trauma and like background.
Totally. I completely agree. And she has more of the audience surrogate energy, which normally with a more dynamic cast, you would love to have Raquel in there because she'd be providing this level of entertainment, but you just enjoy watching her no matter what. But because there's such a deficit of all the other cast members, we're really focused on her. And we're like, well, you're not the most like dynamic person to watch. You're not providing like conflict, but she's just interesting, no matter what. That was great. That was a good scene. It sounded like her mom hasn't visited in like 10 years after she started.
I feel bad for her.
Yeah, that was awful. I wanted to ask something about Bryn. I don't know if this is too mean, and so you can just stop me immediately. I already did something horrible, like falsely accusing Raquel of being pregnant, but Bryn, whenever Bryn does her scenes, I'm always like, I'm like, this is mean, but I'm like, do you have any like friends or anyone else to talk to in New York City? Because I feel like she brought her brother on to be sort of a scene partner, and then he left, so she doesn't have anyone else to talk to in her scenes, and she's fighting with everyone in the cast, and they seem to kind of despise her because she always makes things worse with them. So then she's just left having to FaceTime her brother. And I'm like, I think on a normal franchise, if she was down and out with all of her friends, you'd be bringing friend ofs, or you'd be going out to lunches and doing stuff with other people. Maybe they would become friend ofs. Like if Ramona was on the outs on old RHONY and everyone hated Ramona, she would go to like a brunch with 7 of her friends and still film. Bryn feels very isolated. And I'm wondering, do you feel that way at all?
Yeah, I guess that's true. But at the same time, I feel like we're not getting much of anyone outside of it. But yeah, as we know, Ramona has 30 plus friends. When she would have her birthday brunch, the table would go all the way down the restaurant. But yeah, it is weird how she had to like depend on her brother. And then I don't know. I just, she's, Jimmy was asking me because he hasn't been watching. He was like, when she came on screen, he was like, "Is she cool? Like, is she good?" I was like, "No, she's the worst one."
Yeah, I agree. I hate to say it because I feel like in another universe, Bryn would be the one that, like, if things were just a little different, Bryn would be the most vibrant cast member that everyone absolutely love. But there's just something not rubbing off for me well, about the audience. And it sounds like I think that she's overly confident about what she's bringing to this show and has the producer hat. And then mostly everything you're bringing to this show is complete dog shit. And it's starting to work against her because I can tell no one else on this cast trusts her. Uba is basically just letting it be known. I actually appreciate Uba's like, I don't trust Bryn. She's a snake. Sai doesn't truly like her. It sounds like Erin wouldn't trust Bryn with a 10-foot pole. I don't think Jenna has a good relationship with Bryn, even though she tolerates her. So then at this Mezcal party, I'm kind of stepping ahead a little bit, but it's to this point. She has to say, I hate everyone. Like, she called Sai a miserable troll living under the Brooklyn Bridge. She made fun of how Uba talks to her. And then she's just isolated completely at this party. Mm-hmm. And then she has to give up on her own because no one cares about her and wants to talk to her. She has to just fold and cave in the moment and go back to them and be like, I guess I'll just forgive everybody because what I did completely didn't work.
Yeah, she's like, I went and talked to Erin's dad for a while, but then that ended. So I guess I have to come back here.
Yeah. So what Bryn is doing on the show is not working. She got a lot of flack, I guess. I don't see the audience reaction to RHONY because I don't consider anybody to be actually watching it. But she got a lot of flack for what she said to Uba,
she
2 episodes ago.
Notes app apology.
She had to do a Notes app apology. She said she was like misquoted or that the context was missing, but she deeply apologized. But I just think that I don't know truly what is going on with Bryn. But then I'm kind of giving her whole arc here, but after that, after she completely has to cave on all of her principles regarding fights that she started, like, I didn't even know that she had an issue with Sai again. It sounded like in the Hamptons, they buried the hatchet, but then also, like, when you parse this shit, like, none of it makes sense because it's all so bad. Right. But then at the end, Bryn resorts to, once she gets back at the table, she resorts to being completely mean again. She starts making fun. You know what I'm talking about? And then
I feel like, but like Uba does that too, where like all of a sudden, I mean, that happens here. Like, she tries to say something to Jessel about Bryn, and Jessel isn't really like gonna participate, or she's like, oh, like, I don't know. And Uba's like, is the Alzheimer's setting in? You don't remember? And I'm like, ah. And then and then this is where we get Uba drinking from the water jug on the table in a post-COVID universe. Mm-hmm. And Jessel's like, why are you drinking from that jug? There's a glass for you here. Like, that's for the table. And she goes, you can use a glass because you're a basic bitch. I'm not. And it's like, whoa. Everyone's like, what the hell?
Yeah. There's definitely every fight in this with this cast feels odd, out of nowhere because they're searching for stuff to fight about and to make dynamics. So that was a little off to me, for sure. I don't know. I mean, do you want to go specifically about the stuff that happens in this scene, like besides the Bryn arc? Like, is there anything to note about this Mezcal party?
I mean, what happens? Pavitt brings a burrito.
Pavitt brings a burrito. There's a little bit of, like you said, Bryn decides to talk to Erin's dad. Yeah. And there's a little bit of flirting. She says, I think she says something like, he's like, I don't want to sleep in bed all day. And she goes, what? You don't like to be in bed? And he's like, well, I would want to be in bed if I was with you.
Yeah.
And then she laughs really loud. And then he goes, I have to go to the toilet now. And then she keeps laughing after that. And I was like, you're going to even laugh at him having to go to the toilet? And then that's when she loses her partner to talk to. And then she goes over to a bunch of people at the bar and she goes, hi, gays. And then they go back to the our group or cast or whatever, and they're all having their own scene. And then they go back to Bryn, and I think she shouts, I didn't even want to say it, but I think she just is screaming at the top of her lungs, cum dumpster. Did you hear that part? So it was kind of like Bryn.
I need the gay community to rebuke Bryn and be like, we do not, you're not invited to the cookout. Like, get away from us.
Yeah. Bryn is completely on her own journey here, and then that's when I think she knows that she's floundering, having this kind of solo scene. That's when she gives up, and then that's when the fight starts to boil over. But again, Bryn said it's so like it's not worth parsing, but we have to because we're talking about it. Bryn asks what the problem is, and Sai goes, I didn't think there was a problem with us. And then Uba says, I just don't like Bryn, or whatever it is, but then it boils over and it becomes about Jessel saying that Erin smells, It's like, they don't even...
It smells like onions.
Yeah, but then they don't even, like, when Bryn came back to the table, I wanted Bryn to say, hey, I forgive you all. I realized that I was just talking to Erin's dad and I don't want any more scenes with him. I don't want to flirt with him anymore. So I'm going to come back. But then like Uba interrupts and talks about her own shit. And then Jessel catches a stray. And then Erin tries to get in there. And then they go, let's just all forgive each other and move on. We're like the Power Rangers. And then Erin's like, I'm the one who's going to get that molten rock. And I was like, is that from... Are the Power Rangers searching for molten...
That's actually like upsetting to me that we're in a phase where someone is a housewife who watched the Power Rangers.
I know, for sure.
Like, no.
It knows it more than me. I think I'm older than the Power Rangers.
Watched, like, the next generation.
Yeah. Jessel calls it lame, which is kind of like a fourth wall break. I'm like, you can't call this show lame. We're all thinking it's lame. So if you say it's lame, it makes it even lamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think...
yeah, so like... Then Rebecca Minkoff is at this party. She literally doesn't say shit except for she goes like, hey, queens. And then she, before she gets to participate at all, is heading out. And Bryn is like, where's she going? And they're like, oh, she's going to these accessory awards. And Bryn is like, I didn't know that Nordstrom Rack gave out those awards or whatever. And I'm like, I think that's maybe the third time she's used Nordstrom Rack.
I thought of you when she said it. I was like, because I remember you talking to me last week and you said she's already said that 2 times. Does it even make sense? I don't know what the accessory awards are, but does it make sense to say as a comeback, I didn't know Nordstrom Rack gives away awards, like at an award show? The Nordstrom Rack Awards?
Yeah, it would have to be like, I didn't know brands that they sold at Nordstrom Rack got awards or whatever. But it's like, okay, that was one clever thing. That was a one-time decent burn to accuse her brand of being like on the sale market, like the, like shitty end of the retail stick.
I mean,
like,
some could argue as the co-founder of Riz, maybe you wouldn't want to bring up a huge...
It's total haterade, but if you want to be a bitch, you could, I guess, say that, even though it's like brands like that probably make the most money because they like get so much distribution or whatever. Like Jessica Simpson's shoes are like shitty, but she's like a billionaire. Like, who cares? Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, so she said that 5 billion times. And then they bring up one thing that I'm sure it will also go nowhere, but when Erin and Abe are giving a speech, their business partner is up on the stage with them, and they point out that, I guess, during that game, like Never Have I Ever or whatever, it's revealed that Erin fucked their business partner at one point.
Yeah, I think he was on that trip to Tulum with them.
Well, they should run with that, do like sort of like a menage a trois branding.
Yeah, so Bryn brings that up at the table because nothing is working. She's also rude. She's also rude about them giving a speech. Not that I care about rudeness. I'm just like, it's just because nothing is working that she's doing, so I know she's grasping at straws, but she's like, no, not again. They're going to give a long speech. And then they cut to a scene that you and I'm sure, don't remember, of the long speeches at their engagement. Another callback to shit that nobody remembers. And I'm just like, we see Bryn's whole arc this episode. Talk about a shitty business, ruin your relationships with everybody, be mad and say you're the victim because you ruined all your relationships with everybody. Nobody cares enough to talk to you about it, so you have to just squash it internally. And then make fun of a bunch of people at the end of the episode and start new controversy. It's like a horrible cycle, and none of it is fun to watch.
No.
Right? Does that make sense? Did you see that Bryn arc for me this episode, or the Bryn arc that I'm elaborating on?
Yeah, she's really like struggling.
Yeah.
Like she's trying every option, and like all the doors are closed because the only way through is to be vulnerable, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Overconfidence and then like under delivering.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It is kind of hard to get through your head because it's like she's beautiful. She's like stylish and like young, and like it seemed potentially promising at the very beginning. Like she had a je ne sais quoi that like could be something, and it's just like not working.
Yeah, it's really kind of the epitome of this iteration of RHONY in general. Yeah. It's just 1 to 2 degrees off from a typical Housewives franchise. It's the uncanny valley, and Bryn is like uncanny valley Housewives cast member.
Yeah. No, she's just trying to steer the ship way too much. Like that usually doesn't happen until later when people like Jax or Ramona or whoever get like so empowered that they think that they're allowed to control and produce the show. And it's like, no, like you are brand new. Like you are just a cog in the wheel like everyone else. You just have to participate and be framed in whatever way they decide.
Yeah, true. But what would this show be without Bryn?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a scary question because at least people are like mad at her.
Right. It's like the only thing that's happening is her doing stuff that we think is really lame and bad, but there would be like what else would be going on if Bryn wasn't choosing to do this? It's like you're executing something very badly, but also you're the only one that's executing anything. I mean, Jessalyn
be talking.
Yeah, there would be absolutely, I think, no scenes. Anyway, so yeah, I felt the same way as you. A very bad episode. Again, so many things you can point to in this episode about what doesn't work. From this franchise overall. So yeah.
Just thinking about, I don't know if I have it in me any longer to rewatch the Carol election episode. But just like comparing like you can just imagine like every angle of it and like all cast members, how they were reacting and involved in that thing. And it's just like, it's so rich.
Yeah.
It's a time and a place. Like that's what like so many of these shows are that are good, is like, because they're so real and just like unencumbered, it's like a document of its time. Whereas like when you're fucking around with like reality and trying to just make it like clever in the way that you think is entertaining, then it's a worthless piece of art. Mm-hmm. It's nothing.
Yeah, you're right. That's so true. And it's really for me, it's all about casting too. If there was at least even if they flipped 3 of these cast members with 3 other cast members, and you still had Jessel and Raquel, this could be an amazing franchise. But I just feel like
imagine Luann is back and her daughter is in the art world, and like there's some weird connection to like Raquel, and like Luann shows up to the art show and like fucks an artist.
Oh my God, it's writing itself. That one guy that Luann made out with at that Mad Hatter's opium den. What was that? Oh, yes. You remember what I'm talking about?
When they order the femme fatale.
Yeah. What's that kind of liquor? Absinthe. when they
Yeah.
got ripped off Absinthe, and then he's an art dealer or
Romance.
something.
Wasn't he a romance author?
Yes, he wrote this amazing book that I looked up on Amazon at one point, which I don't remember at all anymore. But yeah, there's a little, so many things wrong. But the freewheeling atmosphere also, or, freewheeling aesthetic of old RHONY is completely gone because it's so fabricated in this universe. Anyway, enough about RHONY. Speaking of, I would say the exact opposite. Potomac. Do you want to get into Potomac? Are you ready to transition? So the exact opposite is true of Potomac. They prove that you could just be sitting at a breakfast table, sitting, drinking mimosas and eating, I don't know what the hell they're eating, eggs, bacon, possibly, and make 20 minutes of a 10 times more dynamic scene than anything that this new iteration of RHONY has ever even come close to.
Yeah.
And that's not the best Potomac scene I've seen. It's just that their low bar is 10 times higher than anything RHONY will ever even come close to. I'm like, we did ourselves a disservice last season not recapping Potomac. We could have had a bright spot in our commentary. I mean, it's like it's night and day. And it's all casting. It's all casting.
3 of these women are brand new. I think they've been seen before, but they haven't been in the mix this much, and they know what to do.
They're killing it. Kay, Jazzy, Jacqueline, Stacy, they are all fucking killing it. And this was a friend of showcase. It's Stacy, who's not a friend of. She's a full-time cast member, but it's a showcase for these new cast members. They are all amazing. They knocked it out of the park. So whoever is casting Potomac, whoever casts Salt Lake City this season, we've got there's a new crop of stars in the Bravo universe. Unfortunately, for some reason, though, they didn't. The light's a little dim over in the New York sector of things. Yeah. But anyway, this episode of Potomac I thought was great.
Yeah.
Did you?
I wish it was called Blast from Everyone's Past, and I felt like there could have been something much more fun than that.
Yeah, like I'm with Ray.
Yeah, or something about Wenday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like, Wenday's Big Day.
Something like that.
I mean, we love creating titles.
We would say.
We love creating titles. So
we might need to run with that one for ourselves.
Yeah. So let me just recap where we're at. If Villa Rosa VIPs or Little Turtle Cuties are not watching Potomac this season, I have to say I'm rewatching last season of Potomac. I absolutely love it. I finally got to the GNA event where this horrible fight happens. I'm like, that season was amazing, and this season of Potomac is amazing. So hop on the bandwagon with Amy and I, because if you're searching for good content in the Bravo universe, I really think Potomac is worth catching up on. I wholeheartedly recommend it.
Old times.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of just like pure and simple.
Yes. So so we are picking up, they're at Lake Norman still. And we are just last week, Mia said, I've got a story from 3 years ago, everybody. Do you want to hear it? I got butt dialed by Karen, and on the phone, she was drunk as a skunk, and she said, they think I'm with Ray. And then she let that out to the table, and then you and I had to just wrap our minds around what that meant. So immediately we learn that Karen, I guess, said that and admits to it. But she said she was drunk as hell off brown liquor 3 years ago after going to dinner or a bar with them. They show a photo and all of them have their eyes rolled back in their head, completely drunk. And Karen immediately diffuses this thing, deflects the shit out of it. It was like a huge, what's a thing that comes at someone that you can deflect? Like a huge...
She deflected it like the Matrix. She bent over backwards.
Oh my God. The perfect analogy. She was like Neo and Mia just shot an Uzi at her and she did all that spinning stuff. She goes, yeah, I remember exactly what you're talking about. I was drunk as a skunk. I got into my car. I said, I'm way too drunk to drive like this. I called my driver and I went home safely with my driver. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not what they think I'm with Ray means, right?
No, and I'm also like, don't further incriminate yourself that you often get fucked up when you have your car with you and then you sit in the driver's seat and decide if you're gonna. She like drove a block and then was like, nah.
She said she put 10 and 2 and she accidentally went to 10 and 3, and she turned her car on, and she goes, wait, I'm not going to drive drunk like this. It's like, but that's why I think the accusation that she deflects is possibly worse, because she allows into evidence, yeah, I came close to driving drunk back in my heyday, and I didn't do it. So, but then Mia kind of, I think everyone lets her off the hook of the Ray part of this, and just allows her theory for what she truly meant happened in this.
Right. I love they're so quick-witted on this show, and they always just like ping pong back and forth. Like she's like, I pulled over and then called my driver, and Mia's like, that's very good, Karen, that's the right thing to do. And Karen's like, that's what I always do. And Mia's like, not always.
Yeah. Mia has made it her mission to reveal what Karen did. She's letting Karen kind of have the time to maybe highlight what happened, but Mia has shown that she's the only cast member willing to go there fully with Karen and bring this up. Giselle doesn't want to ruin her relationship with Karen at this point. Ashley is scared of Karen. She's had so many back and forths with Karen. So Mia and Wendy, I think, loves Karen enough to not want to talk about this. Mia has made it her mission that she is going to talk about this on camera. It's just the process of how she brings it up on camera is changing, and it becomes fully the most naked version you could do towards the end of this episode.
Right. Yeah. And then Mia doubles down and adds to her story where she's like, well, then Karen drunk called me again on her way home in the morning, which would mean that she didn't go home. And she's like, yeah, I held on to that part. And Ashley, is it just me, or like Ashley's like, has she always been this much of a stinker, or am I just realizing it now? Like she's like adding into everyone's shit. Like she's like, those rumors have always been true. I totally believe it. Like she's kind of just like adding on to throughout this episode. Every time someone gets accused of something or whatever, she like doubles down on it.
Yeah, she, I think, takes pride in being the shit stirrer of the group. She's sort of like the Whitney of this group, but she's much more efficient at it and much more fun to watch overall. But yes, I think that is always sort of what Ashley does. She and I don't want to step on it, but she does a pretty egregious thing later this episode too.
Yeah, plays dumb about it.
Yeah, so that's all. That's what I thought. I just was like, I think Karen got out of this possible cheating accusation by bringing the drinking into it, and then it sort of devolves. Everybody leaves, and then Mia just says outright, she goes, I was just getting Karen back for calling Jacqueline a liar. I'm ride or die for Jacqueline, so I'm just going to bring up this 3-year-old story because I want to bring it up into evidence to defend my friend Jacqueline.
Yeah, and Karen is like, good luck. You waited 3 years and decided this was the time to throw daggers. Well, ping, ping, ping. She like basically did a Matrix thing.
I forgot she did that. We have a really quick thing I wanted to highlight. There was a quick JT phone call. I don't know if you thought about this more than I did, but JT calls on FaceTime, and I had trouble deciphering what the hell he was talking about. Did you think about this at all?
Is this different than the FaceTime?
Yeah, he FaceTimes.
Okay.
Yeah, he FaceTimes, and I don't know what he was talking about at all. He goes, hey, it's JT. And Stacey goes, oh my gosh, I love you so much, JT. Thanks you for calling. And he goes, are you sharing more? Because I want you to lean into the camaraderie that they offer. And if they ask about me, I want you to share. So I'm calling to see if you're doing what we talked about. And then Stacey goes, hey, Wendy, you want to say hi to Wendy? It's Wendy's birthday. I was like, does JT want to promote celibacy and Christianity on this show? So is that what he was asking Stacey to talk about?
He also looked like he was on like a Zoom call. Like
Yeah.
He was like set up for the FaceTime like perfectly, and it looked so clean and sharp. It wasn't like usually FaceTimes when they do them on the show look like shit. Like they're very like run and gun, and he was like camera ready.
Yeah, it was an odd call. It doesn't make me it didn't put JT into this is a more normal relationship category. If anything, it made me add more questions to what is going on. I really do
maybe
think
they're both freaks.
I know, no, and I absolutely love it. From an entertainment standpoint, I absolutely cannot get enough of JT. I want him in every scene, but I'm just wondering what the hell he meant when he called Stacy with that thing. And then Wendy is really nice to JT on the phone, but then she goes, "This sucks." She goes, "They are like a virgin couple that just met at vacation Bible school, and I want to leave the group chat." I was like, Wendy, that's really mean. You just said you liked JT and you loved Stacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also like a weird little moment where he's like, I love you and I miss you. I know you're not going to say it back, but I'll say it. And then she goes, I miss you too. And then she goes, and I love you. And then she's like, ah. And I'm like, was that supposed to be like the first time she said it, or is it that she didn't want to say it on camera?
I don't know, because I thought Stacy was pretty effusive with her love for JT, and I thought
Right.
they said "I love you" and "I miss you." I don't know what was going on here. I mean, I got to get to the. We need to get to the bottom of what is going on with JT and Stacy. My real theory is that he wants it to be known the wonderful principles that they're standing on that makes their celibacy powerful. I think.
He's using the housewives as what's that called when you travel the world, like evangelizing?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, a little bit of that. There's some like Wendy birthday stuff this night.
Yeah.
Karen kind of says like, this birthday party completely sucks. She said, when I was 40, I was dancing my ass off. But they kind of make a moment for Wendy that I thought was sweet. They give her the countdown. They say, give a speech. Um, you know,
Yeah, I feel like Wendy's in a good place.
yes.
Like she seems at peace and like she'll start beef if needed, which happens like at the end of the episode, but not, you know, if it's unwarranted.
Yeah, I agree. I love Wendy this season. I don't know what my issues were when I was binge watching this back in the day, but I think Mia and Wendy are amazing cast members. I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say about them. Maybe when they were newbies, they were more desperate, and I sensed the friend of energy, and they were making more shitty conflict. But now that they're established, and they're not OGs, but they're as
Yeah.
established as Karen and Giselle, like they're killing it. They're
Yeah.
powerful and they're confident.
Yeah. I am still like deciding how it's sitting with me that Mia is like running the ship. I mean, I guess this is her trip, and then she brought in like her friends, and she's mounting this case against Karen and stuff. But I still feel like she's a newbie in my heart. So I'm like, watch yourself.
I agree. I have a little bit of that energy too, but I'm because Candace and Robin are no longer on this cast. I almost just I give them the promotion in my mind that now these are the heavy hitters on this show, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what happens at this breakfast that we were sort of
Yeah.
alluding to?
Yeah, let's do it. The only thing that happens before that is just that there's a conversation with Mia and Jacqueline about how she's handling the Gordon situation, which I'm like, okay, Jacqueline is actually being useful here as a friend, because she's like, you are stringing him along, like be freaking for real. Like you tell him you love him, you guys live in the same apartment building. Like obviously he helps you out in ways that you need, and but even though you financially support him or whatever it is, I thought that was like a good like check-in about how weird that dynamic is, and that it's good that she has a friend that is like, you're going about this wrong. Like you need to like think about that.
I agree. It wasn't just like absolutely loyal friend who will say anything to you to build you up. That was constructive advice. It is kind of sad. Gordon texts, and he'll like an Instagram photo will pop up on his phone or whatever when he's looking at his feed, and it'll be with Mia and Ink, and he'll be like, "This sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this photo.
What
You were
the
breaking
hell?
my heart. When was this photo taken? April? This sucks." And it's
Yeah.
it's true. He's too much thinking that there's a possibility that him and Mia can rectify these things. They're still, I guess, technically married, and they're living in the same apartment complex, and they see her every day. Because remember, he comes barging in all the time when he thinks that, like, when Survivor's on or whatever, he says, "Can I watch with you guys?" So
Yeah.
anyway, that was sad and a good peek into the Jacqueline Mia dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
Then
Also, sorry.
oh, no, 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 no,
One,
no.
it's kind of just a misnomer, whatever, but they're talking about skydiving, and Ashley says that her and Michael's second date was skydiving, and she goes, "We had a great time both up in the air and after we landed." And I was like, "Why are we talking about him like that?"
I love how Ashley talks about Michael, obviously. Like it yeah, like I've always loved how she talks about Michael. But I think she implied that they were the first couple to ever have sex while skydiving.
The logistics of that, like Tom Cruise couldn't do that.
Oh, I I'm almost positive that there are
Maybe
certain
Tom Cruise could.
oh, of course, Tom Cruise. I think I'm almost positive there are some skydiving companies that allow for sex to happen while you're
Coitus.
skydiving for mid drop coitus. But I she said they had sex, or I thought she said they had sex during, and then right when they landed, once the parachute fell on the ground, they were able to have sex in
Yeah.
that field. Have you ever skydove?
No, I think I'm good. I think there's a time that I maybe would have done that and never say never, but I'm like, I don't really see the point anymore.
Yeah, yeah, not yeah. For me, it's the scariest thing I could ever imagine because I'm so scared just flying, not jumping out of a
Yeah.
plane. But it's also one of those things where it's like if it was the safest in the world and someone was strapped to my back and I had seen that like no one has died ever doing it, maybe I would do it. But I don't know. I don't think I
Yeah, I
will.
would
I'm
say
too
start with
scared.
a commercial flight first.
Yeah, I think I should probably fly again. Fly again on a traditional plane before I jump out of one. You're exactly right. Okay, so then Lake Norman, they all say, let's have some mimosas and eat breakfast. And I
Yeah.
love what they decide to do with the scene. And what I also love is that you could say that they're all scrounging for conflict. Like, let's say RHONY, when they were at that table at the Mescal dinner, they were scrounging for anything to say and do, and it came off horrible. And you and I discussed it's odd, it doesn't work. But then when they're all at a table and doing this, seems very organic. All of the flare ups that happened in this environment felt real to me, and
Yeah,
authentic and properly um, started. What's that? They
sure. I mean, even if they're obviously like pre-researched and waiting in their pocket for when it's to be deployed, like they are making it entertaining.
Yes, I completely agree. It's kind of hard because almost everyone sort of gets some of this. But how it starts is that I think Wendy is saying, it's my birthday. I'm 40. I want to be Zen when I want to be Zen. I want to move forward. And then Jacqueline says something that's not too. It's pretty barbed
Yeah.
at who the accusation is about. She says holding grudges makes you bitter and nasty and mean. And then Mia goes,
It
"Yeah,
makes you a bitter old bitch.
yeah, a bitter old bitch." And then Stacy, I absolutely love this. This is the power of a new cast member. She goes, "Are you talking about Karen?" I was like, everyone knew that everyone assumed that, but I love that Stacy just said it out at the table. It was perfect.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wait, Karen's there, right? And then they like
Yeah.
cut to her and she's just like, whatever. Also, really quick, we skipped over that Mia, for some reason, is forcing them all to go to one of her original doctor office locations. And the doctor's named Dr. McDaddy.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know why I brushed past that. Because we didn't go to that doctor's office. But yeah, Dr. McDaddy lives in where Lake Norman, and she's gonna show off. This is what you're saying about Mia's trip. Even though it's Wendy's birthday, this is a trip for Mia to showcase everything about herself, her life.
Right.
It's like that "This Is Your Life" show. I've never seen that before, but you know what I mean. Like we're trying to understand all of like the facets of Mia. But
Right.
yeah, I was surprised by that she's going to take him to a doctor's office.
Yeah, like who the hell would want to go to that? And then Kay throws Karen a bone and is like, I think she deserves a break after last night. I'm proud of you, Karen, for how you handled that because that shit was a little low for me, as in what Mia brought up. And then now they're coming after her again. And Karen is like, when you own who you are, you're good to go. Like, I'm solid because I don't even, I mean, it's like I don't even know what she's trying to say. She's just like, I'm real as they come, so you can't take me down.
Yeah. Then Mia, she's implying that Mia was low, and then Mia says, "This is boot camp. We're all at boot camp right now," and I take that to mean this is friend of boot camp, and this is how they're all supposed to learn how to navigate this franchise together. And
Right.
Mia is implying that Karen, this is just what they do, and that Karen would even have to acknowledge that Mia threw a great insult her way, and then she'll retort with whatever she wants. So she's saying that this is a trial period for everyone to learn. At least that's what my assumption was.
Right. Like she's like, I earned my flute already, and now Kay, you need to earn your flute. Which I'm like, do you get a flute when you go to boot camp? Is that a thing? Like Yankee Doodle Dandy?
I thought, you know what? Now that you say it like that, I really thought that they were breaking the fourth wall, and they were like, instead of the traditional Potomac flower that they all hold, they hold a champagne flute. I thought,
Oh.
but you saying trumpet, because at boot camp the bugler is the first one to wake everybody up or whatever. That makes much more sense that she's talking.
I didn't think of a champagne flute at
Well,
all.
I was saying, I thought, I was like, is Potomac's symbol a flute?
Right. Because people keep using flute left and right. Like
Who said?
Heather
Right.
Dubrow's tagline is like,
You can't play my flute.
yeah, it was like, I may drink out of a flute, but you can't play me like one, or some shit like that. And I'm like, I don't like this willy-nilly flute.
Because we say champagne flute, right?
Yeah, but it's like an ugly word. It's like, it's confusing.
Wait, no. I think I'm looking. They all hold champagne. Everyone holds champagne
That's
flutes.
what it means.
So it's the equivalent. I didn't know. It's the equivalent of saying diamond holder. And this is a total fourth wall break. You want to hold the flute, and then she's kind of saying that Kay needs to earn hers. Mia already has hers. Kay's like, I don't care about it like you do. Like, and they're having it's a low level back and forth, but they are sending shots back and forth. And then Kay says, you've got a crazy triangle on your hands, meaning the Ink and Gordon shit. And then Mia goes, well, you've got a drug dealer boyfriend in your past.
Right. Yeah, she goes, why don't we talk about your drug dealer boyfriend? And she's like, drug dealer? Which one? Who are you talking about? And then Ashley chimes in, being messy, and is like, I've heard that too. Yeah, I have heard that you were dating a drug dealer. And Kay is like, well, my boyfriend currently is a licensed clinical social worker. And Mia's like, no, the one before. I mean, the one in, and Kay is like, well, what's your past?
Yeah.
And then Mia's like, I was a stripper, baby.
Yep. Yeah, so they're bringing up past. I guess Kay, I don't know. She's not denying, I guess, in the past that this had happened. But it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, they kind of had, that's kind of a, what's it called? They both just say insult to each other, and it's like, it's completely fine. I mean, she insults the stripper past, she insults the drug dealer boyfriend. But then Mia goes even lower and calls her Stitches, which is, that is referencing the fact that I watched the fight scene, and Deborah, Ashley's friend, threw a full cup at Kay's head, and she was bleeding out of her head, a horrible wound, and that she got stitches for it. But I guess they think that she is overstating how bad the injury was, that why she got stitches, and that makes Ashley question if there ever really were stitches, because there's no scar on her head. And then that sends Kay, makes Kay completely upset, because she's using this traumatic incident from their past. Where, I mean, have you seen the fight footage?
I need to, because it keeps coming up, and I'm like, I need the context of exactly what happened and how bad it was. But I mean, it was cruel, but I did laugh when Mia was like, we know you know about the streets, Stitches. Like, it reminded me of like Atlanta days. I think she also goes, glass.
Yes. Yep. Yes. And but I really, like, after watching the footage, because they didn't capture it on the actual show, but TMZ has the footage of them fighting.
Oh,
it's It's very bad. You could
Oh,
you
God.
it's a very bad fight. So Wendy, I think rightfully says, bringing up a traumatic incident from someone's past where they got in a fight like that and calling into question the wound that they possibly got, or referring to them just as stitches, like from a
Yeah.
wound they got from a fight, is really shitty. And
Yeah.
Ashley questioning if she actually got stitches and has a scar was really shitty as well.
Yeah.
The
She
reason,
tried to play dumb. Like she was like, "Oh, I wanted to ask, like, did you get a scar? Like, I can't really see it." And she's like, "What do you?" She was acting like she was about to ask, "What products do you use on it?" Because they really worked. But like, Kay gets furious and like storms off and is like crying about it before. And Ashley's like, "I was just gonna ask about your skincare line."
yes, Ashley plays completely dumb. I don't know what her grudge against Kay is. Possibly that she sort of still rides for Deborah, and she thinks that maybe Kay falsely made the fight seem like a bigger deal, and so she's like, she's mad at Kay for doing that. But the fight actually looked very bad, and like you shouldn't
Yeah.
question how traumatic an incident was. So I fully understood Kay's reaction to this, and then
Yeah.
it sort of simmers.
Yeah, it seems like Wendy is telling everyone like that was low, that was bullshit. Kay tells Ashley like you're done, like do not talk about that shit anymore. Ashley's like all right, and everyone's kind of like okay. And Stacy's like let's keep the spirit at this table light for the day. It's Wendy's birthday, and and you think it's over, and then Karen goes, permission to be messy, please.
Yes. She asked for permission. And I thought, I was like, it already kind of was messy. It got pretty bad at this breakfast. How long are you guys going to sit at this breakfast table? And what Karen brought up was actually very messy. Just a
Yeah.
full blown new accusation. And she brings it up. She goes, hey, Jacqueline. And it's like, whoa, you're going to go in on Jacqueline again? She goes, aren't you trying to work it out with Mr. PP? And she goes, why, yes, I am. Why ever would you bring up, Mr. PP? And she goes, and Karen goes, it's going well. Was that after the 25 convictions that he has? Did you stand by him? And it's like, whoa, oh my God.
Everyone's like, what the hell?
Whoa. They're like, whoa. And she goes, wasn't he charged and fired from an internal investigation into the police department? And I looked it up. I looked it up, and the charges, they're real charges in Maryland. It's not 25 charges. I don't think. I think she was being hyperbolic, but it said that he went to a bar with a bunch of civilians and he drove them home in his cop car. So the assumption was that he was drunk, I guess, after going to a bar with like maybe his friends or whatever, and drove him in a cop car. Kind of a minor offense, but maybe in police world, it's like don't drive drunk after a bar with civilians. And then another one was brandishing a weapon to a bystander that I think was like just standing on the side of the road. So that one, not good. And then the last one was they came upon a person that was lying in the road, and they seemed to be on PCP. This person and Mr. Peepee. Mr. Peepee,
Officer Peepee.
Officer Peepee. This is all alleged. I don't know the legal case, but I know what Karen is referring to because I saw the document. Officer Peepee took the PCP vials and he put them in his glove, and he put the PCP vials in his glove down a storm drain. And then when the other officer was on the scene, he witnessed that because they had it on dash cam footage. They said, where the hell is that PCP that we picked off of that guy? And he goes, I put it in a storm drain. And the fire department had to come out and get the glove out of the storm drain, but they couldn't accuse the guy who was going nuts off PCP of being on PCP because he had destroyed the evidence or thrown it down a storm drain.
Because he just was like, you don't need this anymore.
I don't know. That's
Or
a
was he,
question.
like, saving it for later, like he was going to come back and get it.
I don't know. That's a question. But it seemed like little.
I didn't see when she said, because I was like, ooh, like Karen just said, like charges, convictions, whatever, and I was like, ooh, like legal, like money, like taxes, like what's it going to be? And then Jacqueline is like, it was an internal affairs investigation within the police department. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's like nasty shit.
I thought it was going to be like corruption. I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be like taking bribes on the police force. I thought it was going to be. So when I read it, I was like, yeah, I mean, I would have done all
So
these
he's
things.
just
It's
kind
like,
of like unprofessional. He's like
that's,
the cops in Superbad.
yeah, it was totally, when I was reading it, I was like, this is reminiscent of the Superbad cops, Bill Hader and Seth Rogen. Exactly. That's what it was. And she goes, Jacqueline defends his honor and says this was a very racist police department, and he has since been reestablished in a different police department. So she goes, that is the lowest fucking thing in the world you could ever say, Karen, is talking about the father of my children. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And then Karen's questioning whether or not she actually stood by Officer PP through this ordeal. And then Wendy decides she's seen enough. And she's like, how dare you, Mia, bringing up Kay's man's past when your best friend's man has all these convictions?
Yep. And then they're like, let's not bring up the past. And then Wendy's like, Mia, you just brought up the past multiple times. You brought up the drug dealer past. You brought up Karen's past with the butt dial. So everyone is bringing up past. And I did like that Jacqueline has proven that once she gets in a bad fight, she wants to get up and walk away and leave the scene. So she's not fully the best at arguing yet. Karen kind of hands her ass each time she fights with her. But I did like their back and forth. Jacqueline says, I can't believe you'd bring that up. You must be a horrible person. Karen says, but you're a saint driven in white and pure snow. And then
Is that a Snow White reference?
Well, I looked it up, and I think it's pure as the white and driven snow, meaning like when Santa Claus would go make tracks to a house in the snow. That's an easily trod snow, pure and well trod path. So she says driven in white and pure snow, and then Jacqueline says, you're low down, Karen. And Karen says, I'm God's baby. I was like, oh my God.
I love that. I wrote down, Jacqueline said, you're low down dirty shame. And Karen goes, I'm God's baby.
I'm God's baby?
Aren't we all?
I'm going to say that anytime I am ever accused of anything. I am God's baby. And I think Jacqueline says something like, you're the furthest thing from God or something. But once you get an I'm God's baby, it's over.
Can't refute it. I also like when Jacqueline was like, well, I don't have 2 DUIs. And Karen goes, I don't have 2 DUIs, dingbat.
Yes. What is Karen? I'm going to say it now. I love Karen Huger. She is everything she's doing is perfect. In addition to how much she's deflecting the storyline from being put on her. But what does she think is going to be brought into evidence that is going to dismiss this case?
The court will have its day.
The court is going to have its day. Like what could prove to help you in this instance? It sounds like they have you absolutely dead to rights, drunk as hell, expired license, endangerment to property, like all this shit. I'm just like, it's such a weak argument, like for a drunk driving charge.
Right. No, she's just like deflecting for as long as possible until we all move on to something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like total chaos at the table, and then Wendy is like, ding, 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 time for a toast. And then they kind of split up throughout the house, and Karen's like, I don't relish what I just had to do, but I don't start the drama. I just finish it.
Yeah. And then she kind of is like, let that be a lesson to you, bring it or whatever. And like Jazzy and I think Stacy are there like listening to her, like taking advice from Karen. And Karen already implied that when she called Jacqueline early in the season, like she was giving advice to Jacqueline. And that's when Jacqueline accused her of being really drunk on the phone. But anyway, this like friend of boot camp thing I think is real. Like that's what they're treating this like. But then they don't wait for too long, because then I think Mia and Jacqueline go into the bunk bed room with Ashley. And this is when it's like boxing gloves off. Is that what you say when things get worse? Yeah, when you want to punch somebody really with the gloves come off. And Mia goes, I'm just going to do it. If she's not going to talk about it, if she's still going to talk shit about Jacqueline, she just brought up all this shit about Mr. Peepee, I am just going to show my phone to the camera and look at the charges and say exactly what they are. It's like, no more bullshitting about what this actually is.
Right. Which, am I the only one that's like not that impressed? So she was like, how dare she bring up those 25 charges when she has 8 charges? And I'm like, I feel like every time you do a crime, there's like, it checks multiple boxes. So it's like driving under the influence then means
Yeah.
reckless driving. Then she also like wasn't registered or whatever, which I'm like, I don't care about that. Like endangering whatever, because that's just built into what it means to be reckless driving. Like it was all like one of the same shit.
Yeah. I wrote it down. I said, it once said driving while impaired under the usage of alcohol and driving under the influence of alcohol. I was like, damn, you're going to get 2?
Yeah.
Impaired and under the influence? Does it impaired mean you're so drunk? It's not just 0.8. It's like you are
Right.
so
Like
drunk.
takes it up a notch. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but I agree with you. I was like, disregard for safety. Well, that comes hand in hand with being drunk as well.
Right.
The only one that seemed like an additional charge was that the registration wasn't valid or whatever. I was like, I get why they would just like throw that on there.
Right.
Um,
But yeah, I was like, this isn't a smoking gun, because then they're all talking shit and Stacy walks in and she's like, why are you guys all coming for Karen? And they Mia reads them off and she goes, this is what you're defending. And Stacy's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't know about any of that. And I'm like, didn't know about what? Like, you knew.
I think she was like us before we knew how many charges you get from just innocently driving drunk once. You
But
get
they were acting like it was like murder in the first degree, like arson, like
Well,
reckless endangerment. Like I was like,
in my
okay.
favorite new cast member's defense, Stacy, I think when you see endangerment to society, like you just assume that they're not just talking about running into a fence. You assume that like murder or manslaughter could have happened. So Stacy, just you're exactly right. There's so many charges all saying the same thing, but I understand Stacy reading them out 8 with the reckless endangerment and all that shit. It seems way worse than just a DUI. My friend got drunk off 8 beers and drove home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then Mia takes it nuclear, and with Stacy in the room, she's like, we are worried and we think we need to take Karen to rehab. And even Ashley was like, oh God, like, get me out of here. I don't want to be part of this.
Ashley goes, I'm scared for you all about bringing this up. Do you think that Mia meant take Karen to rehab right now in Lake Norman?
It's like how when you watch Intervention, or in any intervention, they say, we're leaving right now. Like, you cannot leave. Like,
Yeah.
it's today.
Yeah, totally. You're totally right. They hit the nuclear option there completely. And Stacy did what I love is the innocence of Stacy reacting to this news. I feel like it is not put on. I feel like it is legitimately she's wondering, how do you handle a situation where you're just told on camera that there was all of these charges and you know you're supposed to tell the other cast member that this just happened in the bedroom. Like, just the way she tells it, she's like genuinely like distraught and stunned at this revelation that she just received like 5 feet away in that bedroom when she goes over to Karen.
Yeah, she's like, holy shit, like, you're not going to believe everything I just heard. She's like, obviously, I will always defend you because I know who you are. Like, we're friends, but they're telling me all kinds of crazy shit in there. And she lists out all of the things that they said. And Karen's like, those are allegations. I cannot comment on the allegations. And she's like, the court will have its day. And she's like, but then they were also like, they want to take you to rehab and that you need to go to rehab. Should I be worried about you? Is there something I don't know?
Yes. She's like, it's deeper than that. Yeah. Are we saying that they're saying we need to take you to rehab? I love that she's like Mia and Jacqueline obviously have bad intentions with this information, and Stacy is legitimately being like, I am so worried. Do you have an issue with drinking that we need to talk about right now? And Karen is like, basically, it's like, you're just playing right into their hands of exactly the scene that they wanted you to have with me right now. But I feel like Stacy is innocent, not knowing how to handle a situation like this. At least that was my read on it.
I don't even know what the hell her deal is.
Stacy's?
Yeah, like, she's so bizarre.
Yeah, she really is. But it's great. I mean, it's different energy on this show, and I really like how she handles every scene. It's fun to watch. So yeah, I mean, an amazing episode.
It's kind of crazy. Like, they didn't go anywhere, right?
No, This is
episode was entirely in that house.
this could have been a one-act play in one room with no set dressing. It was just like them in Lake Norman. They did. Yeah, did they go anywhere?
No.
Yeah.
Right?
Think about that. Think about the enjoyment they provided for 42 minutes of just in one location. That's a great cast. So that was fun to watch. There is going to be so much spiraling from what happened at that breakfast that there are so many tangents now. It's like they just brought so much new stuff into the ether on Potomac. So I think we're in for a great season.
Yeah, it was funny because Jimmy was sitting next to me when I watched both of them, and when he doesn't really watch either normally, he knows more of like the OG ones, but not these. And when I was watching the new RHONY, he was like, "What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, this is so boring." Like in every scene, he was like, "This is it." And then I was watching this one, and he had like funny comments throughout because he was like, "What the hell?" Or like, like it was. For a total layman, it was still like obviously funny and enjoyable.
Yeah. It's just right there for everyone to see. And I don't think we're so off base with how we're judging these shows. Potomac is ripping and it's great. Salt Lake City is great. And RHONY is noticeably much worse.
Yes. And I don't think we said it up top, but since we're recording early, we're going to cover Salt Lake and OC on Friday.
Yeah, I think the episode, we'll record on Friday. I think the episode will decide, but it might come out on Friday or Saturday. I mean, I don't know. We can release it on Friday.
We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk. So anyway, so you're going to get 2 episodes this week. It just makes more sense for Amy and I. But I hope that you enjoyed, hearing us talk about RHONY, even if it's not enjoyable to watch. We hope that you're watching Potomac because it's fun as hell. And I'll just say, if you want to hear more from Amy and I, there is a sanctuary you can go to for $5 a month. It's called the Villa Rosa VIP program. It's the Turtle Time Patreon. You become a Villa Rosa VIP, and we have about 90 episodes in the archive of us recapping Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning, season 1, episode 1. So if you want to join us there, it's a wonderful community. I made a huge flub today in our community, and I had to make a huge apology, and everybody was so sweet to me, Villa Rosa VIPs. You were so nice. You forgave me for this huge error I made, and that's the kind of place that we can go to, the Villa Rosa VIP community.
Yes. I also wanted to shout out something I heard from a different podcast that I'm a Patreon member on. Apparently, Patreon is now a party to something that happens in the Apple like the App Store or something like that. So if you're a new subscriber, it's recommended to do it on your desktop because apparently on mobile there's like a fee or something that like makes it more expensive that's out of our hands. So if you're considering joining, go on your laptop or your desktop or whatever and do it on there, not your phone.
Yeah, don't do the Apple subscription thing, right? Because it's like 30% charge or something. Don't do that. Please.
And if you just like listening here, then rate and review us on those app stores and follow us on YouTube if you like to watch, comment, do all that fun stuff.
Yes, please. And thank you, Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, for listening to us. We hope that you are all doing well. We hope we could provide a little bit of fun into your life today. And Amy, thank you so much, as always, for joining me today on Riverside for this episode.
Yes. Thank you so much. We'll be back later this week. Stay strong. We can discuss the upcoming Little Turtle Revolution behind the paywall.
Yep, that's exactly where the next stages of the Turtle Time Revolution will happen on Patreon. You're exactly right. All right. Well, bye, everyone. We'll see you back on Friday or Saturday. Bye.